Hello and welcome back to all of the Virtua Fighters. I'm trying really hard not to say all of the Street Fighters. All of the Virtua Fighters. And welcome to Virtua Fighter Remix. Virtua Fighter Remix. We looked last time at Virtua Fighter, the launch title for the Sega Saturn. We talked about a little bit about the disastrous launch of the Sega Saturn. But how cool Virtua Fighter was and what a revolutionary game it was and what an important game it was. Unfortunately, Virtua Fighter released to people saying that it was kind of crappy and didn't look as good as the fighting games that launched on the PlayStation. So it was a less than successful launch. So Sega combated that. They were in full reaction mode at this point. They were reacting to everything and trying their hardest to not get buried by the PlayStation launch. And they kind of secretly started shipping Virtua Fighter Remix with Saturns instead of shipping them with Virtua Fighter 1. So what Virtua Fighter Remix is, it's Virtua Fighter. It's the same game. Under the hood, it's exactly the same game. No new characters, no new moves, no new stages. It's Virtua Fighter under the hood. What they've done is they've completely altered the visuals. They've upgraded the visuals, made them much more exciting. Look at those character portraits. I love these. I love this character select screen. Super cool. But yeah, they've fully texture mapped all the characters, so they're not just like flat colours anymore. They've increased the polygon count, and it's still not as high as the original Virtua Fighter arcade machine, but it's much better, and it brings it much more in line with things like Tekken and things like Battle Arena Toshinden. I mean, look at that. The difference to the original Virtua Fighter. I mean, just the texture maps alone, ignoring the higher polygon counts, the texture maps bring so much to it, and they just don't look so stupid and embarrassing anymore. They look like actual real 3D models that should be on a 32-bit console. It's just overall a much better looking game. So there's a few downsides to the improved visuals. The loading times are longer than the original Virtua Fighter. They're marginally longer. And the lighting engine that the first game used is gone because, I guess they couldn't handle it. The extra polygons and the extra textures took up all of the memory it had. So on some of the stages, and we'll see on Sarah's nighttime stage on top of the skyscrapers, the characters are really bright, whereas in the original they're kind of lit more realistically like they would be at nighttime. In this, they're just stupidly bright, but I think they look good still. That close-up of Akira's face there looks so much better, so much better. So all the backgrounds in the stages are the same; they haven't changed. I don't think the audio's changed. I think all the music's the same, but it's just those visuals. It's a huge visual upgrade. So I said they kind of secretly started slipping this in with Saturns. What they did, I mean, this came out in December. Saturn launched in July 95, I think, in the West. And this came out by December. So just months after Virtua Fighter had come out and the Saturn had come out, they replaced it. They completely replaced it. So from launch, Virtua Fighter 1, not this, the original Virtua Fighter, was a pack-in game with the Saturn in America and in Europe. It was included with every Sega Saturn. And then by December, they launched this, and they gave this away free to everybody who registered their Saturn by post by September. So if you filled out the little card that came in your console and registered the console, you got this through the mail, absolutely for free. And then they started replacing all the pack-in Virtua Fighters with Virtua Fighter Remix from December onwards. So basically they replaced it for Christmas. Christmas was coming, the Saturn had a kind of less than stellar launch. Some of the retailers had stopped, they weren't stocking it. And this was, red alert. It was all systems go to try and fix this. And re-releasing Virtua Fighter with better visuals to combat what was on the competing console was a big part of that. And I think it was great. That's unbelievable, really. You can argue if it was successful or not, but for a company to react so quickly and say, right, we need to fix this, and we're just going to re-release this game and fix it and make it look better and give it free to everybody who's registered their console, I think that's pretty great. I'm a big fan of that. So this is that nighttime stage. This is Sarah's stage, and you can see the lighting is... I was going to say it's really unrealistic, but they just look like they're really well lit by floodlights and lit from underneath, basically lit from every angle. And I don't mind it, but this is one of the disadvantages of the Virtua Fighter Remix compared to the original, is that the lighting engine isn't as good. You combat that though with, I mean, look at Sarah's clothes. She's wearing like jeans, and Akira's wearing a proper fabric-y little suit. Whereas in the original, he's just textured grey, she's textured blue. Her hair is just one big block of yellow polygons. Yeah, what an improvement. There's not a great deal more to say about Virtua Fighter Remix, to be honest, because it is just the same game as Virtua Fighter 1. This released on the Saturn. They also brought it to the arcade later and to the PC. But this is mostly known as a Sega Saturn game and as a reaction to bad impressions of Virtua Fighter 1. So that's Virtua Fighter Remix. Even more short and sweet than Virtua Fighter 1, because there's not a lot new to talk about. But still, it's an important Virtua Fighter game to look at. If you're looking at all the Virtua Fighters, which is what we're doing, that's the point of the series, Virtua Fighter Remix is a really important part of that story, and it's totally worth looking at. There's one more Virtua Fighter release to look at before we jump to Virtua Fighter 2, and we'll look at that next time. That's Virtua Fighter Kids. We're not going to be doing the Virtua Fighter games strictly in chronological order, and that's because I don't have access to absolutely every single one, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to do this. So we're just going to try and look at all of them, and I'm going to try and put them in a sensible order that tells a story. But don't shout at me in the comments if these aren't in perfect chronological order. But yeah, next time we're going to look at Virtua Fighter Kids, and then after that we'll jump to Virtua Fighter 2, which is a huge game, and it was very, very well received. So that's nice. That's nice for Virtua Fighter. So I'll see you next time for some, I was going to say for some kid action, for some Virtua Fighter Kids action. And I hope you can make it. So I'll see you then. Bye 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 bye.